Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce, please help me give a warm welcome to Shelley Segal.
Hello everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my music with you. And very happy to be back performing for Atheists United. This is actually my second performance with that community, and yeah, it's really nice to see some familiar faces. And now the rock concert begins. So I'll just tell you a little bit about, I guess, my background and where I've come from and why I'm here doing what I'm doing and what I'm doing. Basically, I'm here because I'm touring my latest album, an atheist album. And I started out in Melbourne, Australia, which is my hometown, in a liberal Jewish family. And I was in a Jewish community, religious community. I believed in the Bible, the biblical account of creation, and I went to a Jewish school, and I was a very proud Jew. It was a really important part of my identity. I went to a Jewish Zionist socialist youth group, and I taught kids about those topics. And my father was actually the president of the local Orthodox synagogue, which we went to every week. So I was very involved in this community, and probably from the ages of about 16 to 19, I learned a bit more about the world. I learned about evolution at school, and I learned that there was such a thing as atheists. And I went traveling, and I saw so many different ideologies and worldviews that it was kind of like a comparative religious study, and it made me more able to, I guess, criticize my own upbringing and see my own worldview as just one of many. And so I became an atheist about when I was 19, so 7 years ago now. And I got involved in secular activism, and I've always been writing songs. I've been writing songs since I was 11. I've been singing since I was about 3, but I started performing when I was 11 with my father's Jewish wedding band. So, lots of bar mitzvahs. This is not what I expected to be doing. I guess I got involved in secular activism, and I left my community. And as a songwriter, I write about the issues that are really important to me at the time and what I'm going through. So when I was younger, there's lots of love songs. There's still lots of love songs. But for this period where I was really focused on secular activism, I started to write about some of my experiences and the conversations I was having and some of the issues that I was reading and learning about. And I decided to write a whole album on the topic. So that was an atheist album. And the first song I'd like to play for you guys tonight is not from my album, but it's a really beautiful song. It's one of my favorite songs to sing, and to me it represents everything that's beautiful about music. It's moving, it's motivating, it's powerful lyricism, and to me it has the message of that we should live this one life that we know we have to the fullest. This is a Phil Oak song called When I'm Gone. There's no place in this world where I belong when I'm gone. And I know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing out this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone. I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone, and I can't be asked to do my share when I'm gone. guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't feel the flowing of the time when I'm gone. Oh, the pleasures of love will not be mine when I'm gone. Said my pen will pour out a lyric line when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone. I can't even suffer from my pain when I'm gone. And I can't say who's to praise or who's to blame when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't feel the flowing all the time when I'm gone. Oh, the pleasures of love will not be mine when I'm gone. Said my pen will pour out a lyric line when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't feel golden out the sun when I'm gone. Oh, the evenings and the mornings will be one when I'm gone. And I can't be singing louder than the guns when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I guess we better do it while we're here. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you want to check out that song, that's Philip's. Oh my God. How's the sound? Is it too loud, you guys? No? Alright, if I start to see the... A little too loud. Okay. Well, when I see the chair start to blow forward or blow backwards, then I yeah. See, it's misleading. There's the rocking chair.
Well, that's because he rocked.
Right. Just to be safe, I'll put it down. A bit more about, I guess, Judaism. The Judaism that I was brought up in. As I said, there was a liberal Judaism at home, so my parents didn't call themselves liberal, they said traditional, or just Jewish. But it was kind of a liberal lifestyle, so not particularly observant, not particularly strict, but the synagogue that we went to was very strict. It was an Orthodox synagogue, which is the kind of temple that has gender segregation. So the women would sit upstairs and the men would sit downstairs, and if you couldn't make it upstairs, you could sit up the back with a curtain in front of you to separate you from the women, from the men. Sorry. And the only people who were in any leadership positions were the men. The men were the rabbis, and the men would conduct the service. And the men would read from the Old Testament, which is like the center of the service, is the reading of the Old Testament. And actually, a woman's voice is not allowed to be heard by an Orthodox man unaccompanied, because it's too arousing. That's an actual rule. Right? There's been some weddings I played at with my father's band where, you know, maybe all the rabbis hadn't left yet, so someone would run up and say, "No, she has to get off the stage because she can't sing yet." And even after I became an atheist, I didn't really take issue with these things. I grew up and it was so normalized to me that I didn't realize that it was just absolute blatant sexism. I didn't understand. And it even took me a few years of distance from my religion and after becoming an atheist to kind of really understand how damaging the doctrines are, the way they talk about women, and how sexist it is to be separated in this way. Actually, there's one prayer that we used to say every day in school, even in a liberal school. We would pray every morning for 15 minutes, and there was one prayer that was like a call and response between the boys and the girls. And the boys would say in Hebrew, "Dear God, thank you for not making me a woman." And the girls would respond, "Dear God, thank you for making me what I am." And I said this every morning from the age of like 7 till 12. And I mean, you don't even begin to imagine how that would impact the way you see yourself and your gender. So this next song I'd like to share with you is from an Atheist album. And it's a reflection on those things. It's a reflection on what it was like growing up as a woman in Judaism, on having restrictions on your voice, on how you can speak, and just your gender being really defined for you, well, your actions being defined for you by your gender. There's another thing as well, in the Orthodox community, men and women aren't allowed to touch physically. So the rabbi, my father's rabbi, would come home and say, "Hello, Danny," shake my father's hand. "Hello, Josh," shake my brother's hand. And "Hello, Shelley." I don't get to be touched because I'm a woman. And so these are some of the experiences in a very non-extreme type of Judaism. The song is called Eve. The Bible tells me I was made from man, and I must do for him everything that I can. I must surrender to his will, yeah. I must submit. I can't make the household decisions, 'cause I am unfit. It tells me my place with everlasting grace. The Bible tells me I must be silent, you can't hear my voice. My role has been divinely defined, and I have no other choice. I may not be a teacher of man, I must cover up my shame. These are the laws of the one who in vain I cannot name. He tells me my place with everlasting grace. And my punishment for wanting to learn is a painful birth from which I may not return. The Bible tells me that I am unclean, I am impure, you cannot touch me, and it has nothing to do with where I've been. It is part of who I am. It is because I corrupt man. I was asking for it just by being a woman. He tells me my place with everlasting grace. And my punishment for wanting to learn is a painful birth from which I may not return. The Bible tells me I was made from man, and I must do for him everything that I can. I must surrender to his will, yeah. I must submit. I can't make the household decisions, 'cause I am unfit. It tells me my place with everlasting grace. Yeah, it tells me my place with everlasting grace.
send that to the United States Congress.
We'll sneak me in one session, see how that goes. One thing I just want to mention that I was talking about in the chorus of that song, which is my punishment for wanting to learn is a painful birth from which I may not return. And it's kind of talking about the story of Adam and Eve. And essentially, Eve was punished for eating from the tree of knowledge. God made, allegedly, made Adam and Eve and then wanted them to remain in a state of ignorance. And they ate from the tree of knowledge, they received the knowledge, and the punishment for that was, for Eve, or for womankind, was a painful birth. And that essentially means that every woman who experiences complications in childbirth, every woman that dies in childbirth, every child that dies in childbirth is a direct punishment for a sin that she didn't commit, that's on her ancestors. And it's such an evil doctrine, it's such a hateful indictment of women. And again, it amazes me that I read that and it escaped me how awful it was for so long. The next song I'd like to play for you is the result of a discussion that I've had very often, and I'm sure you've all experienced. And it's the old, "Oh, you're an atheist. How do you know how to be a good person without God? And how do you know?" Yeah.
Your parents' reaction.
Yes. Oh yeah. Anyone wants to ask any questions, like feel free. This is a small space, and so we can, even if a song reminds you of something that you've experienced yourselves or anything like that, it's a nice space. I'd love to hear about it, and I think everyone would. So, sorry, yes, my parents' reaction.
Yeah.
Well, it was very difficult at first. So the first few years were hard. It was also partly my fault because I was angry. I was really angry. And I wasn't a critical thinker yet. I hadn't even grasped how to reason. I hadn't even, I'd started to value things like logic and reason and critical thinking, but I didn't have those skills yet. So I wasn't able to really articulate to them what was so wrong, but I came back from overseas and they wanted to hold my 21st birthday in a synagogue, and I said, "No, I'm not, I don't want to be in there, it's awful, it's disgusting," and they're like, "How could you say that everything we believe in is disgusting?" So it was, really difficult. And then over the last few years, they're amazing, they're so supportive. I say now that my parents love me more than they love God. And they're amazing, yeah, absolutely, very supportive. And so I know a lot of people don't experience that kind of love and acceptance, straight away when you break away or you make that change, that's it, that's the end, you're ostracized, you're out of the family. It wasn't like that at all. We were having discussions. They were loud discussions. They were angry discussions, but they were discussions nonetheless. And I got much better at articulating what I took issue with, and they got better at taking it, and taking it less as a personal attack and more as just an objective criticism. And so now my mother is an atheist. And my brother as well, so we joke to my dad, like, he's the last one standing. I'm awful. I used to walk around the house with the Old Testament reading, like, "Johnny, this is Adonai." And there's a passage where you're supposed to kill your child if they pull you away from God. And it says that you can't even let the community kill them. You have to kill them yourself. So I'd be like, "Kill your daughter. She's driving you away." And obviously you get really angry. Now I can't even get a rise out of him. He was here a few months ago, and he came on the Art and Atheist podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Yeah, he did a great job. So even he's kind of more open to that perspective. And I think, actually, he accompanied me at the Global Atheist Convention in Australia last year, which is so amazing. The local paper did a big story on us because he was the president of the local synagogue playing at an atheist convention. And everyone would come up to us and say, "Oh, you've got such a great relationship." I said, "Yeah, well, you weren't here last week when he tried to throw me out of the house or letting me go to the Passover Seder, which I call a big fairy party. So I'll keep talking. I should play a song, otherwise I'll just talk. Well, I'm warning you in advance that's going to happen. So yeah, so this song is an answer to the discussion. Yeah, guys, come in.
And if we run out of chairs, Michael's got folding chairs. So.
Hi. I'm here for the last. Yeah. Cool. So this is an answer to the accusation that we don't know how to be good people without an absolute morality. And this is, I like to dedicate this to my mom. It's called My Morality. My morality has nothing to do with the Bible or the verses of Quran. My morality won't judge you by your spirituality, but by the things that you have done. My morality is not set into stone tablets who don't even tell you not to hurt children. My morality is not dictated by your deity. It's developed from empathy, dependence and love. My morality accepts everybody's sexuality, is more concerned with inequality than validation from above. My morality is not set into stone tablets that don't even tell you it's worthwhile to be good for being good's own sake, but not to think for yourself can be a deadly mistake. My morality is not recitable from memory. It's something inside me, how I wanna be. Treat others how I want them to treat me. Basically not to hurt anybody, abhors any brutality. It stems from our common humanity, and it's what my mother taught to me. And it's mine because I'm free. Thanks so much. That part in the song where I was talking about stone tablets, I think, that's part of the criticism of our morality as non-believers, is that it's ever changing and it's not, codified, and it's not absolute. And I think same like science. It's great that it's always changing. It means that it can improve, and our morality is clearly changing over time. And the more that we learn about the world around us, the more that I learn from my experiences about how to treat people. I changed my morality. I updated morality 1.0. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Share some stories. One thing that's always scary as well is when people say, "Well, what's stopping you from raping and murdering everybody?" Like, if that is the only thing that's stopping you, I'm going to end this discussion now. I don't want to convince you otherwise. That's terrifying.
get a lot of religious people or some religious people at your shows?
Yes, especially when I'm not doing specifically atheist themed show. I mean, my whole extended family is religious, and on my father's side, most of them are Orthodox. And so they came to my show earlier this year, and that was the first time they've kind of heard me speak about these things and sing these songs. I have a jazz album that I've released as well, so I played songs from that and the Atheist album, and one of them said afterwards, "I like the jazz stuff." Okay, cool, thanks. Nice.
You know, you said you were angry with yourself for taking so long to recognize. I'm about 68 years old before I recognized, so, and I've been in a rage ever since. So
Did you recognize?
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And what it must, like, I'm so proud of my mum, because what it must take to change your worldview when you've been in that same way for so long, it's really commendable. It's fantastic that you're here, and yeah. And thanks to Bobby for having us tonight.
If this is a virtue, it's definitely its own reward.
Shelley, did you write that song about, the refrain was something about mercy? What was the second song you sang? Did you write that?
Eve. Yes, yeah.
All those songs. These are all.
Thank you. Thanks so much. This next song I wrote after I heard a spooky noise outside my room one night, and I thought to myself, I'm so glad that I don't believe in ghosts anymore. Thank you, Sam Harris. Because I remember a time where I would have been afraid. And I realized that my knowledge and understanding of the world emancipated me from fear. I did not need to be afraid. And I instantly related that to my losing my faith. And I think when something's taken away from you like that is such a deep comfort, whether it be a deity or a guardian angel or a guiding spirit, that can be terrifying, and it can feel like, the rug is taken out from under you and the whole world's upside down. But ultimately, for me, it became one of the most empowering experiences of my life, because I realized that the responsibility for everything in my life is entirely up to me. There's no one I can, ask for help from. I mean, obviously we have like community and family, and those are wonderful things, but at the end of the day, I have to take care of myself, and that is empowering, and it's powerful. It makes you feel brave. If there's something that I need to face, I know that I need to depend and rely on myself to get out of it, and it helps me to step up to the challenge. So this song is called "I Don't Believe in Fairies." I don't believe in fairies. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in vampires hungry for our thrones. I don't believe in demons or witches that can fly. I don't believe in dragons. I think they're all alive. So when I'm in the dark, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of creation's imaginations I've made. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Zeus. I don't they have no use. I don't believe in Adam. I don't believe in Eve. I don't believe in talking snakes. I think they're make-believe. So when I'm in the dark, in a dark place, in a dark place, I know it's only me and what I face. I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe that we are children who need to fear to behave well. I don't believe in salvation. I don't believe in sin. I don't believe it will be easy, but I believe that reason can win. So when I'm in the dark, I'm not afraid, not afraid. Our creation's imaginations have made. When I'm in the dark, in a dark place, in a dark place, I know it's only me and what I face. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I do believe in absolutely, that's the whole message. Yeah. That's what people say, you don't believe in anything. Well, I believe in people. Yeah, and it's not even a faith, it's based on experience. I'd like to invite Amanda McAlpin to join me for a song now. This song had a funny inspiration behind it, and I'd like to share it with you because it's hilarious. So I still am in touch with a lot of the people from the community that I grew up with, and one of my friends, he's really fun to argue with. We tease each other a lot. But he doesn't believe in evolution. That's like probably our main argument, aside from when he won't come out to my gigs on a Friday. So I said to him, surely Dan, like you understand the mechanism, so can't you just look at the evidence and see that it's there and accept that that is the reality? And he said, this is a bad South African accent, Shelley, I don't want to look at the evidence. I already suspect my life is meaningless, and I don't want it to be confirmed. I thought it was really funny. I mean, yeah, it's actually really sad. But he's just dramatic. So I wrote this song for him and for my parents at the time. And it's about somebody that's holding on to their beliefs, not for its truth value, but for the comfort that it brings them and the way that it makes them feel. So this is called House with No Walls. Staying in a house with no walls.
don't wanna leave because it feels like home. You're sitting in a house with no floors. You can feel the mud seeping in, but you just choose to ignore all the evidence that what you think is real. You don't live because you don't like the way it makes you feel. You say you need the shelter to get through all your faults. That's why you choose to live in a house with no walls. You're wearing the emperor's clothes. You think they'll protect you from the world, but how can you be sure you're wearing anything at all? And even when the others tell you that your raincoat is worth more than all the evidence that what you think is real, you don't live because you don't like the way it makes you feel. You say you need the shelter to get through all your faults. That's why you choose to live in a house with no walls. Why don't you build your shelter from the things we know? All the outdated dogma, just let it go. Why don't you build your shelter from the things we know? All the outdated dogma, just let it go. Well, staying in a house with no walls. You don't wanna leave because it feels like home. You're sitting in a house with no floors. No, 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 no. You can feel the mud seeping in, but you just choose to ignore all the evidence that what you think is real. You don't live because you don't like the way it makes you feel. You say you need the shelter to get through all your faults. That's why you choose to live in a house with no walls. Thanks, Amanda. Speaking of believing in people and I guess the good side of humanity, I have a humanist song to play for you. It's not an atheist album, it's going to be on my new album, which I'm releasing next January. And I wrote it when I was hitchhiking around Europe. I was in Amsterdam, I was trying to get to Germany, and I was with a friend and we've been sitting out the front on the freeway out the front of the city for like 4 hours. We've been waiting, thumb out, and this gentleman drove past and he stopped and he motioned for us to get in the car. I thought, yes, finally, and we put on our packs and we started to run over. And he started laughing and drove away. Yeah. And so I thought how mean and how, like, it's not just to not help, it's one thing to not help somebody. I understand if people don't want to pick up hitchhikers. I'm terrifying. But really, like, that is a risk, and I understand that. So it's one thing to not pick somebody up, but to go out of your way to kind of, you know, ruin their day and put them down is quite not empathetic. So I started writing a song about how people are really awful to each other and how people won't help each other, especially if they look a bit different or they're coming from a different place and they are cold and everything. And while I was writing this song about how people are awful to each other, another gentleman walked past and I think he thought I was busking because he gave me a whole pile of money. It was really nice, but he ruined my song. You can't write a song about how people are evil when some stranger is just giving you a whole bunch of money. So the song morphed and changed into this big cheesy love song to everybody, and I stand by it. It's called Hitchhiking Song. it's just my dress or a little out of shape, cause you got a pretty nice car with a pretty nice shoe on the gas pedal, making an easy escape. When did it start to feel like everybody's in some kind of a war? And if you're not the same age, don't come from the same place or the same race, then what are you even asking for? Oh, and I hope we find our humanity, and I hope we find our hearts, and I hope we find them soon before it's too late, before everything starts to fall apart. And this is my love song to everybody on the earth. You can treat me like your sister, or you can treat me like dirt, and I will still love you for whatever it's worth. Hey, yeah. What makes us think that we own this world? I can come to your country, so why can't you come to mine? Let's tear down these borders we've given so much power to. What's actually just an imaginary lie. We try to keep our gates closed, cause we know that we have more. But I've lost count of how many people with less are giving me half of their food and let me sleep on their floor. Oh, I have hope that deep down we are willing to share, but we've spent so many years teaching ourselves how to look away. Maybe we've forgotten how to care. And I hope we find our humanity, and I hope we find our hearts, and I hope we find them soon before it's too late, before everything starts to fall apart. And this is my love song to everybody on the earth. You can treat me like your sister, or you can treat me like dirt, and I will still love you for whatever it's worth. This next song is the single from my album, an Atheist album, and it has one naughty word. So like, I'm gonna cue you, and you're gonna block your ears. Sorry to single you out. I was on ABC radio in Australia to play this song, and I forgot to ask anyone if I was allowed to swear. And then we just started rolling, and it's live, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna do it. This song I wrote after I had a discussion with a preacher in the street in my neighborhood, and he must have not been having luck that day because it's a Jewish neighborhood. And he asked me if he could give me a pamphlet, and I said, yeah, it depends. And my suspicions were correct. He was preaching the good word, and he told me very nicely and very kindly that I'm going to burn in hell forever. But really, he meant it well. And even though I relate to the humanity of a person who genuinely believes what they're saying is true, he genuinely believes that he's taking the time out of his day to try to help me, I can relate to that. But it doesn't mean that I can't be angry as a response. I think, you know, the full spectrum of emotions is a good thing, and anger and rage can motivate us to enact positive change, as long as, you know, we don't go around and take too far. I just went home and wrote a song. That was my response to my rage. And yeah, the fact that somebody's taking liberty to come into my world and my life and my day and tell me how I should live my life and how I should spend my day, this song is a response to that and saying, I'm not going to be told what to do. And by the way, while you are telling me what to do, I'm going to ask you, how do you know what you're saying you know? How do you know that it's true? How do you know somebody's listening? So this is called Saved. Say that I need to be saved. Say with me, the devil's got his way. I want to know how when you are praying, when you are doomsdaying, how you think you know that someone is listening to what you are saying. So you think that you can tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies. Say I need to hear the truth, a sales pitch of eternal life and eternal youth. All these blessings you are bestowing upon the one you say is all-knowing. Well, are they really deserved if he is sending me where you say I am going? So you think that you tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder, what will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies. So you think that you can tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder, what will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies, of your lies. Cheers. Was that a bit loud? I saw some like hair.
Shelley, that's the one I was telling you that I heard you were still up in there shouting.
Thank you so much. Yeah, does anyone have any questions or comments?
I had a question.
Sure, hi.
Judaism prohibits tattoos. When you got your tattoos, was it after?
Post atheist.
And was there any remnant, like, contradiction in your head that you were tattooing your sacred body?
No, there wasn't. I felt very. It's funny, like there were a lot of things that I never felt guilty about it. Like, I never felt bad about sex or my sexuality. I was very different to my family in that way, because they're quite conservative. And tattoos is another thing. I remember when I was a kid, and I was like 16, and I wanted to be an organ donor, and I had to talk to my parents about it. And that's, I'm not sure. Some people say it's okay, some people say it's not okay. So I had to look up on the internet and find like some rabbis that said that it was, you know, okay and why and justification for that. And yeah, I think I'm still not an organ donor. I have to do that when I
keep using them yourself for quite a while.
Sure.
Right.
I don't know about the tattoo thing and your religion. I didn't realize there was anything there. I mean, is that too long of an explanation, or is it something quick that you can?
I don't really know, but I think it's just.
It's a stigma. It's not really. It's like written down. Thou shalt not get tattooed.
It's in the Bible.
Oh, it is in the Bible.
In the Bible, you're supposed to go back into the earth as you came out of it. And so tattoos, organ donations, and things like that are depriving you of being able to go back in whole, from what I understand. I think that's right. And then also, that's why they try to get you in a shroud rather than even a box in Israel. You don't even get buried in a box, because you're just supposed to go down as purely as possible.
It does say explicitly in the Bible not to write on your skin.
It does. Exactly. There's specific verse that says, no tattoos. You can look it up.
That's why there's all those funny memes where like the guy has a tattoo of Jesus and then it says like Leviticus verse or whatever. But I don't think so.
Or people getting Leviticus tattooed on them.
Yeah.
People get the line from Leviticus tattooed about thou shalt not lie with men.
Yeah.
And the very next chapter is make no marks upon your flesh.
Right.
And, do you ever feel guilty about eating food kosher? Because that's what a lot of people have.
So
Very visceral.
my parents had a very like liberal upbringing. I had a liberal upbringing, even though we went to an Orthodox synagogue, and my father was the president of the Orthodox synagogue. So we had like, pick and choose kind of hypocritical Jews. That's what So that's me. It is really interesting. So there's certain foods that I was just never allowed to eat, like bacon, any pig products, or shellfish, or several kinds of seafood. And even though I am an atheist now, and I know that that's ridiculous, I find it really hard to eat them, because I've been told from such a young age that's disgusting, it's awful, you shouldn't eat that, it's really bad. And so I still feel that natural disgust, that conditioning is so powerful, even though I forced myself to eat it after I realized it was nonsense. I was like, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to beat my own conditioning. But you can't. I can eat bacon though. That's kind of removed enough from food that it's edible.
Your CDs have dialogue, or they're just songs?
They're just some.
Okay. I should include that because I like the little introductions.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess that means there's some reason people have to come back to the show. But if you look on YouTube, I'm like talking for ages. Thanks. I like to play you guys a song about gratitude. And I wrote this song on a, road trip that I had. There are these stromatolites on the west coast of Australia. And what stromatolites are, they were the earliest life form on the planet. They lived 3.5 billion years ago, and they were a cyanobacteria, so like algae, or like a plant bacteria that lived in the ocean, and they would wash up on the shore, and over thousands of years they would collect and build up these kind of rock-like structures, and they look like rocks, but they were alive, they were living organisms, and they had this chemical reaction that would release oxygen. So the stromatolites are responsible for the oxygenation of the early Earth, and they exist today in a modern form in two places on the planet where conditions are still that which they can live. One is in South America and the other is on the west coast of Australia. And I always wanted to go and visit these stromatolites because I thought they were pretty cool. And I live on the east coast, so I flew across the country to Perth, which which is just a couple of 1,000 miles south from Shark Bay, where the stromatolites were. And I was planning to catch a flight up. I had like a couple of days. I was going to fly up, spend a day or two there, and fly back. And when I got to Perth, I found out that they had no flights to Shark Bay. So I just had to jump in a car and drive 21 hours straight to get there. And then I had like an hour with the stromatolites. It was a great hour, and I stood, and there was no music in my car, like the CD player, the radio was broken, so it was just me going completely mad for 21 hours. Beautiful red desert and emus running across, really stunning all along the coast. Anyways, see, this is why I can't have my talking on the scene, because it will go forever. And I got to the rocks, and I looked out over the pier, and it really was so amazing. They just look exactly like rocks, but I knew that they weren't. And I looked over and I watched for long enough, and I saw a little bubble of oxygen come out. And I just was so moved and overwhelmed by this experience and this moment, probably from the drive, but also because it was so beautiful, and I felt this deep sense of awe and wonder for the natural world and for my own life, that I'm able to have this kind of transcendent experience, and grateful to the generations of humans who have dedicated their lives to science and to growing the body of knowledge that we all share, so that I can look at something that looks like a rock and my brain says, that's a rock. I say, no, I know that really this has origin from so long ago, and it's the amazing power of knowledge. And so I felt very grateful, and I felt like I wanted to say thank you to someone, but I knew there was no one to say thank you to. So I looked at the rocks and I said, thank you, rocks, very quietly, and hoped no one would hear me. And on the way home, in the car, I wrote this song. Even with no instrument, usually I need my instrument to write, but it just came while I was driving. And yeah, it's about that feeling, that deep sense of wonder and awe and appreciation for life, even in the face of all the hardships that life brings, and even knowing that it's going to come to an end, and even, like we take issues with certain aspects of society. It's not perfect. There are things that make us angry and upset, but that doesn't take away from our ability to appreciate them. So this is gratitude. Life can be hard. Things can get rough. Stay on your guard and protect the good stuff. Sometimes we all feel like we've had enough. Don't wanna spend my short time feeling down, or go through my days getting used to a frown. So I will express my anger, my credit is due, but it won't take away from my gratitude. There's nowhere to hide. When you live in a cage, you feel young inside, but on the outside you age. And everyone lied when they told you there's the next stage. 'Cause one day my memories will all be gone, and not a single one of all who I love will go on. And I'm afraid of the end. Yeah, I don't want it all to, but it won't take away from my gratitude. When the world is on fire, well, down come the rains. Truth and desire help us overcome our pain. When we take it higher, only mystery remains. And it's almost too good to be real. And while it's hard to define the transcendence we feel, I don't believe in a great power to say thank you to, but it won't take away from my gratitude. And after the rain has washed everything away, well, here comes the rainbow to brighten up your day. In contrast with the gray, confusion runs deep, and it's hard to know what's right. Sometimes you can't sleep and you get lonely at night, but you decide what you keep in the morning brings a new light. I'd rather find out what's real than deny. The truth may be hard, but it's better than living a lie. So before disaster strikes and everything I built comes unglued, I'll be reveling and dancing in my gratitude. So this next song is kind of about the dangers that I think are inherent in believing in an afterlife. And I remember this conversation I had with my uncle, who's Orthodox, and we were talking about recycling, and he said, I don't need to recycle because God made the world for me. I think humans, all humans, not that self-centered, but still. God made the world for me, and there's nothing that I can do that will impact the world enough to interfere with God's plan. The world will be here as long or until God wants it to be. And I think also, even just the smallest consequence would be maybe not living this one life to the fullest, to the worst consequences, which is believing that there's nothing you can do to impact the world. So this is called Afterlife. Follow the God book for an afterlife. Which one do I try? Which one do I try? I'd like to believe that I'll never die, but I can't comply. No, I can't comply. All the self-appointed representatives of their own imaginings in the sky. They want to usher in the messianic age. They don't mind if it's brought on by nuclear age. They are so sure of their ability to outlive the utility of their bodies. But just remember there was the last thought in the brain of every suicide bomber in every hijacked plane. Follow the God book for an afterlife. Which one do I try? Which one do I try? I'd like to believe that I'll never die, but I can't comply. No, I can't comply. Thousands are humming that the second coming's coming. Environmental responsibility is succumbing to the suicide longing for paradise. Yeah, they see it's already before our eyes. And all that makes us who we are, we find cannot survive without our minds. But you're so afraid to die, you're willing to sacrifice. Living through it all with the knowledge that you only have one life. Follow the God book for an afterlife. Which one do I try? Which one do I try? I'd like to believe that I'll never die, but I can't comply. No, I can't comply. From the day you were born, you are going to die. It's not a pleasant thought at all, but the way that I deal with it is to treasure each moment with my surroundings and those that I love. I spend my days trying to engage with the world, to learn as much about everything as I can, using the body of knowledge without shared heritage to further understand the historical and evolutionary context of man, to revelation in a higher places, to spit in the face of those who chose to dedicate their lives to enrich our world. Follow the guidebook for an afterlife. Which one do I try? Which one do I try? I like to believe that I'll never die, but I can't comply. No, I can't comply. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Yono, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelechim, Mi HaMelech, Mi HaMelech. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Yono, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelechim, Mi HaMelech, Mi HaMelech, Ani HaMelech. Thanks, guys. How we doing for time? I got one more song, and I just want to say thank you again for being such an amazing audience, and thanks to Bobby and Michael. It's been a really fun night. Actually, before I play the song, yes.
When did you start singing and playing the guitar?
So I started singing when I was like 2.5, and I picked up a guitar for the first time like 10 years ago, like 16. And then I've probably been playing since I was 19, like together, and kind of getting that whole thing going. It's hard. It takes a lot of practice, but it's worth it. I feel like this is my home. Doesn't matter where I go. Yeah, does anyone have any?
What did you play with your father's group, or did you sing on them?
So we played in a
What
church
instrument?
wedding band. Oh, what did I sang? I just sang. And sometimes after I started playing guitar and like doing background music, I would play and sing as well. But yeah, we did all kinds of stuff. We did like traditional klezmer music and top 40 dance and reggae and pop, and then I'd play some jazz stuff. I actually have a jazz album, and I should have played one of those songs, but I guess I talked too much.
I'm curious to know, when did you start questioning?
When I start questioning. So, I believed pretty much in the biblical account of creation until the first thing that really stood out to me as proving that not 100% correct was when I learned about evolution in biology class. And in my school, it was like a Jewish school, but it was very liberal. But we didn't learn about evolution. The only reason that I learned it was because I did biology as an elective, like for your final year at school. So they have to give you the accurate information so that you can pass the test and the school can get good marks and continue to get funding. So I learned about it for the first time when I was 16, and I remember just sitting there in class and just being really amazed. And that was the first time that I realized that the story didn't make sense. And just also one of the first times I was floored by science and by the natural world. And it was really cool. Or obviously you have feelings of awe from nature when you see it, but just an idea, that was the first time I had that amazing feeling. And then probably a few different things. So from that point, a couple of years later after that, I had a non-Jewish partner. I had a boyfriend, and he was an atheist. And his whole family were atheists, actually, but they didn't call themselves atheists. They were just not religious. And yeah, exactly. And they were really rational. And before, like, I remember my boyfriend, and he made all his decisions. He was like, I wonder about the probability of this and the chance of this. I was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you thinking about things in this way? You should just go with how you feel. And I remember thinking like that way of thinking about the world was really cold and uncaring and disengaged. And then I guess I had a lot of problems at home because he wasn't Jewish. So I left home at some point and I lived with him and his family. And I learned very quickly that just because you think of the world in terms of probability and chance and reason and rationality doesn't make you cold at all. They were the warmest people to me in the world and they helped me a great deal. So definitely talking to him and being around that family was a big influence. But I still didn't call myself an atheist. I remember fighting with him at night in the car, like staying up all night, and he'd say, "There's no such thing as souls." And I'd say, "Well, you can say that you don't have a soul." I don't have one. And I remember his mom, oh man, I don't think she liked, well, she enjoyed feeding me bacon. And she knew, I was vegetarian actually at the time, but she used to chop it up really, really, really small and put it in the rice, and she'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot, you can take it out if you like." And you're living in someone's house, you don't want to be like, "Excuse me." So I just ate it. And but I understand why she felt that way. I mean, especially when someone's an adult. If you see the parents kind of putting this ridiculous, senseless rules about food, or you can't eat this food, it's disgusting. My dad's business partner is Italian and he loves calamari. It's his favorite food. And when I was 11, he snuck me a piece. And now I can eat calamari with no feeling of disgust because I had it when I was young. And my dad's still angry at how could you go against even though he doesn't care anymore what I eat, he's still just how could you go against me like that? But he's it's just calamari, but he saved me from this really ordinary thing being an ordeal. So, yes.
When you first started playing in Melbourne, did you play with artists that were similar, or is this something that you've kind of always done just as yourself?
Do you just performing by myself or the content of my music? Or?
Yeah, or do you have played with artists that are similar in content, or is it just something that you kind of been on your own with?
Yeah, it's something I've been doing on my own. There are a lot of musicians that I've discovered now here in the US that do kind of have that content. There's a group called GU, and they're mostly hip-hop artists and rappers, and their whole idea is that they use music to further science education and learning and critical thinking. And they're really awesome. I don't know if you've heard of them. Yeah.
I just want to put this song that you're about to sing in some kind of context. You've been touring around for about 3 months around the U.S.
Yeah.
This is your last performance in the U.S. before you go home.
Hey, it's already hard to sing this song. So I've been to the U.S. 8 times now in the last 14 months, just performing this music, and it's just been an amazing experience. I mean, as a songwriter, there's nothing more powerful than having people that listen to and relate to what you're talking about. And I think most of the people I'm playing to are passionate about the same things that I'm passionate about, and also just the best response that I get is how wonderful it is to hear your perspective and your worldview in music. And for me, I know how it feels. That's why I'm involved in music. That's why I make music, because as a kid, that's the most powerful and transcendent experience of all, is being spoken to by music. So I'm really rapt and honored to be part of that exchange. And so yeah, thank you again for coming and making that happen. So this song is called Apocalyptic Love Song for Hitchens, and it's dedicated to Christopher Hitchens, who was a very big inspiration to me when I was kind of going through my change in worldview and starting to understand the value of critical thinking and science and thinking for oneself. And one of the things that I realized when I lost my religion, or left my religion, I didn't lose any. All this time you have this idea that there is a purpose to life, I remember saying all the time, everything happens for a reason, everything happens for a reason. And we, God has a plan, and this whole idea that the meaning exists and purpose exists. And I realized that actually there is no inherent purpose or meaning in my life or anybody's life. And another empowering experience is realizing that you have to create that meaning. You have to find that meaning yourself and build that meaning and do that through interacting with others, and what gives me a deep meaning and purpose in my life is exactly this. And, meeting with people and sharing experiences and music, and I think what we're all doing, being part of a movement that's going to change, I mean it sounds grandiose, but it's going to change the world. It's at least going to change America, and it's going to change the way that, I mean, at the very least we're normalizing atheism, and that's going to mean that a lot less people will experience discrimination, and hopefully we are on the way to getting evidence-based policies, and we're getting people in government who are listening to what we're saying, because we're showing that we are a constituency. I go off topic. So, yeah, this song is Apocalyptic Love Song. One day the sun is going to die. For us it means no more sunsets. To the universe, just one less star in the sky. And almost all who ever lived have already died. Countless stories of love and war and hope and pain now silent way side by side. Yes, I understand that my whole life was just a blink of an eye, and the history of the earth is with each moment that goes by. But this moment that I'm with you, it feels like time has stood still. It feels somehow like it matters, and that it always will. In 1 billion years the oceans will dry, while somehow life may continue. It will not be known to you and I. To think we are so important is an obvious crime. We know that we are specks on a tiny dot, hurtling through space and time. Yes, I understand that my whole life is just a blink of an eye. The history of the earth is with each moment that goes by. But this moment that I'm with you, it feels like time has stood still. It feels somehow like it matters, and it always will. Yes, I understand that my whole life is just a blink of an eye. And the history of the earth is with each moment that goes